Hi, ladies and gentlemen, this is Jimmy, and you're reading with Jimmy. We're reading Faust by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. We're reading the Baynard Taylor translation. We read the prologue before, where we saw that the Lord and Mephistopheles made a deal about Faust. And now we're on Act 1. Ready? Here we go. First part of the tragedy, Act 1, Night. A lofty, arched, narrow Gothic chamber. Faust is in a chair at his desk, restless. Faust. I've studied now philosophy, jurisprudence, medicine, and even alas theology, from end to end, with labor keen, and here, poor fool, with all my lore, I stand no wiser than before. Notice lore before, this is poetry, ladies and gentlemen. Let me get this a little bit bigger, not a lot, just so we're comfortable in seeing the words. Ready? Okay. Lore before. I'm magistrar, yea, doctor, height and straight, and crosswise, wrong or right, these 10 years long, with many woes, I've led my scholars by the nose, and see that nothing can be known, that knowledge cuts me to the bone. I'm cleverer, true, than those fops of teachers, doctors and magisters, scribes and preachers. Neither scruples nor doubts come now to smite me, nor hell nor devil can longer affright me. And for this, all pleasure am I foregoing. I do not pretend to aught worth knowing. I do not pretend I could be a teacher, to help or convert a fellow creature. And then too, I neither lands nor gold, nor the world's least pomp or honor hold. No dog would endure such a crust existence. Wherefore from magic I seek assistance. That many a secret perchance I reach through spirit power and spirit speech, and thus the bitter task forego of saying the things that I do not know, that I may detect the inmost force which binds the world and guides its course, its germs, productive powers explore, and rummage in empty words no more. Oh, full and splendid moon, whom I have from this desk seen climb the sky so many a midnight, would thy glow for the last time beheld my woe. Ever thine eye, most mournful friend, o'er books and papers saw me bend, but would I on mountains grand amid the blessed light could stand, with spirits through mountain cravens hover, float in thy twilight the meadows over, and freed from the fumes of lore that swath me, to health in thy dewy fountains bathe me. Ah me, this dungeon I see, this dreary accursed masonry, where even the welcome daylight strains but duskily through the painted panes, hemmed in by many a toppling heap of books, worm-eaten, gray, with dust, which to the valued ceiling creep, against the smoky paper thrust, with glasses, boxes around me stacked, and instruments together hurled, ancestral lumber stuffed and packed. He's describing his office, isn't he, ladies and gentlemen? Such is my world. And what a world! And do I ask wherefore my heart falters, oppressed with unknown needs? Why some inexplicable smart all movement of my life impedes? In living nature's stead, where God his human creatures set, in smoke and mold the fleshless dead, and bones of beasts surround me yet. Remember, he's translating this into poetry, coming as close to Goethe as he can. This is unbelievable language, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope you're enjoying it. Fly, continues Faust, up and seek the broad free land, And this one book of mystery from Nostradamus, very hand, isn't not sufficient company? Who's Nostradamus? 16th century French physician, you may have heard of him. He published poetic quatrains, 4-line verses that are believed to predict the future. So you can look up Nostradamus if you'd like, including the French Revolution, the rise of Hitler, and the 9/11 attacks. Nostradamus. Check him out. And it happens to be the book that Faust is reading. And he's asking, is not that sufficient company? So when I the starry courses know, and nature's wise instructions seek, with light of power my soul shall glow. And when to spirits speak, 'tis vain this empty brooding here. Though guess the holy symbols be, ye spirits come. Hover near. Come on, if you hear me, answer me. He opens up the book and perceives the sign of the macrocosm. What's that? Jimmy wrote you a note. The whole of the complex structure, especially the world, and you can look up macrocosm. You can Google it, contrasted with a smaller representative part of it. Ha! What a sudden rapture leaps from this I view. Through all my senses swiftly flowing, I feel a youthful, holy, vital bliss, in every vein and fiber newly glowing. Was it a god who traced this sign? With a calm across my tumult stealing, my troubled heart to joy unsealing? With impulse mystic and divine, the powers of nature here, around my path, revealing? Am I a god? So clear are mine eyes. In these pure features I behold creative nature to my soul unfold. What says the sage now? First I recognize. Quote, the spirit world no closures fasten, thy sense is shut, thy heart is dead. Disciple, up, untiring, hasten to bathe thy breast in morning red. End quote. He contemplates the sign. How each the whole its substance gives, each in other works and lives, like heavenly forces rising and descending, their golden urns reciprocally lending with wings, that winnow blessing from heaven through the earth. I see them pressing, filling the awe with harmony unceasing. How grand the show, but it's a show alone. Thee, boundless nature, how make thee my own? How can he make nature his own? Where are you, ye beasts? Founts of being, shining, whereon hang heavens and earth desire, whereto our withered hearts aspire. You flow, you feed. Am I vainly pining? He turns the leaves impatiently, flips through the book. Then he perceives the sign of the earth spirit. Ah, how otherwise upon me works this sign? Thou, spirit of the earth, art nearer. Even now my powers are loftier and clearer. I glow as drunk with new-made wine. New strength and heart to meet the world incite me. The woe of earth, the bliss of earth, invite me. And though the shock of storms may smite me, no crash of shipwreck shall ever have the power to fright me. Clouds gather over me, right? The moon conceals her light. The lamp's extinguished. Mists rise. Red angry rays are darting around in my head. Sounds like he's taken too many medicines. There falls a horror from the vaulted roof, and it seizes me. I hope you're enjoying the way this guy wrote this, Goethe wrote this, and the way Taylor translated it, because it's unbelievable. Ladies and gentlemen, classic literature is literature charged with meaning. That's why I'm trying to take my time reading this to you, and I hope you read it again and again with me. There falls a horror from the vaulted roof and seizes me. I feel my presence, spirit I invoke. Reveal thyself. In my heart, what rendering stroke. With new impulsion, this is a strong urge to an impulse. My senses heave in this convulsion. I feel thee draw my heart, absorb, exhaust me. Thou must, thou must. And though my life it cost me. He seizes the book and mysteriously pronounces the sign of the Spirit. A ruddy flame flashes, and the Spirit appears in the flame. Spirit says, who calls me? Faust with an averted head. Terrible to see. Spirit, me hast thou long with might attracted, long from my sphere thy food extracted. And now? Woe, says Faust, I endure thee not. Spirit, to view me is thy aspiration, my voice to hear, my countenance to see. In other words, you ask for me. The powerful yearning moveth me. Here I am. What mean perturbation, anxiety? Why are you anxious? Thee subhuman shakes. Thy soul's high calling, where? Where is the breast from which itself a world did bear, and shaped and cherished, which with joy expanded to be our peer with us, the Spirit expanded? Come on. Where art thou, Faust, whose voice has pierced me, who toward me pressed me with all thine energy? Here art thou, who my presence breathing seeing trembles, though all the depths of being a withering worm, a terror-stricken form? Faust, thee from a flame? Shall I then fear? Yes, I'm Faust, I am thy peer. Spirit, in the tides of life, in action's storm, of fluctuant wave, a shuttle free, birth of the grave, an eternal sea and weaving, flowing life, all a-glowing. Thus at times, humming moon, it's my hand prepares the garment of life which the deity wears. Faust, thou who around the wide world wendest, thou busy spirit, how near I feel to thee. Spirit says, thou art like the spirit which thou comprehendest, not me. Disappears. Faust, who's overwhelmed, not thee? Well, then whom? I? Image of the Godhead? Not even like thee? A knock. Death. I know it's my famulus, an assistant or servant, especially working for a magician or scholar. It's his servant. My famulus. My fairest luck finds no fruition in all the fullness of my vision. Thou soulless sneak disturbs me thus. Enter Wagner in a dressing gown and nightcap and a lamp in his hand. Wagner's his assistant. Faust turns impatiently and Wagner says, pardon, I heard your declamation and it was sure an old Greek tragedy that you were reading. In such an art I crave such preparation, and since now it stands one in good stead, I've often heard it said that a preacher might learn from a comedian for a teacher. Faust. Yeah, and when the priest comedian is by nature as haply now, and then the case may be. Wagner. You know, when one studies thus, like you do, a prisoned creature that scarce the world on holidays can see, scarce through a glass by rare occasion, how shall one lead it by persuasion? Faust. You'll never attain it, save that you know the feeling. Save from the soul it rises. Serene in primal strength, it's compelling the hearts and minds of all who hear. You sit forever gluing, patching. You cook the scraps from others' fare, and from your heap of ashes hatching a straddling flame, an undernourished flame. Ye blow it bare. Take children's monkeys gaze admiring, if such your taste, and be content. But ne'er from heart to heart you'll speak inspiring, and save your own heart is eloquent. Wagner. And yet, through delivery, orators succeed. I feel that I'm far behind indeed. Seek thou the honest recompense. Beware a tinkling fool to be. With little art, clear in wit and sense, suggest their own delivery, and if thou art moved to speak in earnest, well, then what need that after words thou yearnest? Yes, your discourses, with their glittering show, where ye for men twist shredded thought like paper. Isn't that a beautiful line? Men twist shredded thought like paper, are refreshing as the winds that blow, the rustling leaves through chill autumnal vapor. Wagner. Oh God, but art is long, and life, alas, is fleeting. And oft, with zeal my critic duties meeting, in head and breast there's something wrong. How hard it is to compass the assistance, whereby one rises to the source, and haply ere one travels half the course, must the poor devil quit existence? Faust. Is parchment then the holy fount before thee? A draught wherefrom thy thirst forever slacks? No true refreshment can restore thee, save what from thine own soul spontaneous breaks. Pardon, says Wagner. A great delight is granted when in the spirit of the ages planted, we mark how ere our times a sage has taught, and then how far his work and grandly we have brought. Faust says, ah yes, up to the stars at last. Listen, my friend, the ages that are past are now a book with 7 seals protected. There's a little note here from Jimmy. This is the direct reference to the book of Revelation, where a book is sealed with 7 seals. Great movie by Ingmar Bergman, The 7 Seals. And only the Lamb is worthy to open it. This is what Jimmy calls illusions, and it's very important in classical literature to be well read. If you read the Bible and you read Revelations, these words right here, a book of 7 seals protected. If you never read the Bible, those words there, they just kind of are like words. But if you read the Bible, they are classical literature's definition of literature, right? That's jammed with meaning, that come alive. Words that mean things. What you spirit of the ages call is nothing but the spirit of you all, wherein the ages are reflected. So oftentimes you miserably mar it. And at first glance, who sees it, they run away. And over a barrel, and a lumber garret. And at the best, a Punch and Judy play. Punch and Judy, there's another language charged with meaning. Punch and Judy, is a traditional British seaside puppet show featuring violent, comical arguments between characters Punch and his wife, Judy. Sometimes you may see it in movies. Notice, violent, comical arguments. Even puppets can be violent. With maxims most pragmatical and hitting, as is the mouths of puppets are befitting. But then, says Wagner, the world, the human heart and brain, of these one covets some slight apprehension? Faust. Yes, of the kind that men attain. Who dares the child's true name in public mention? The few? Who therefore something really learned, unwisely frank, with hearts that spurned concealing, and to the mob laid bare each thought and feeling, have evermore been crucified and burned. I pray you, friend, 'tis now the dead of night, and our converse here must be suspended. Wagner. Well, I would have shared your watches with delight, that that so our learned talk might be extended. Tomorrow, though, I'll ask in Easter leisure. We're getting the time of year. This and other questions at your pleasure. Most zealously, I seek for your addition. The quality of having or showing great knowledge. He wants to be educated. Exit, right? Much do I know, but to know all is my ambition. He leaves. Faust, soulless, alone. That brain alone not loses hope, whose choice is to stick in shallow traverse forever, which digs with eager hand for buried ore, and when it finds the angleworm rejoices. Dare such a human voice disturb the flow around me here, of spirit presence fullest? And yet this once my thanks I owe to thee, of all the earth's sons, the poorest and the dullest. He's thanking Wagner. For thou hast torn me from that desperate state. Wagner's interruption tore him from a desperate state. What desperate state is that? Anxiety, depression. He's just frustrated. He can't know everything. Which threatened soon to overwhelm my senses. And the apparition was so giant great. It dwarfed and it withered all of my soul's pretenses. Image of Godhead who began, deeming eternal truth secure in nearness, to sun myself in heavenly light and clearness, and laid aside the earthly man, I, more than cherub, that's a winged angelic creature described in biblical tradition. I, more than cherub, whose free force had planned to flow through nature's veins in glad pulsation, to reach beyond, enjoying in creation the life of God's. Behold, my expectation, the act of making amends or reparation. A thunder word hath swept me from my stand. Ignore those numbers. With thee I dare not venture to compare me. Though I possess the power to draw thee near me, the power to keep thee was denied my hand. When that ecstatic moment held me, and I felt myself so small, and yet so great, but thou hast ruthlessly repelled me, back upon man's uncertain fate. What shall I shun? Whose guidance borrow? Shall I accept the stress and strife? Every deed of ours, no less than every sorrow, impedes the onward march of life. Let me repeat that. Every deed of ours, no less than every sorrow, impedes the onward march of life. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll never find more beautiful words strung together. Think about that. Some alien substance, more and more, is cleaving to all the mind conceives of grand and fair. When this world's good is won by our achieving, the better then is named a cheat, a snare. The fine emotions, whence our lives we mold, lie in the earthly tumult, dumb and cold. And if hopeful fancy once in daring flight, her longings to the infinite expanded, and yet now a narrow space contents her quiet, since time's wild wave so many fortunes stranded. Care at the bottom of the heart is lurking, her secret pangs in silence working. She, care, restless, rocks herself, disturbing. This is personification. Look up personification. I should have took a note for you. Personification. Personification. Come on, finish the typing. There you go. Okay. Personification. Whoops. Too many N's. Care at the bottom of the heart is lurking, her secret pangs in silence working. She, restless, rocks herself, disturbing joy and rest. In newer masks her face is ever dressed. And turns as house and land, as wife and child presented, as water, fire, poison, steel. We dread the blows we never feel, and what we never lose is yet by us lamented. Again, we dread the blows we never feel, and what we never lose is yet by us lamented. We're going to study those in the analysis. I am not like the gods, says Faust, that truth is felt too deep. The worm am I, that in the dust doth creep, that while in dust, don't forget God created man from dust, while in the dust it lives and seeks its bread, is crushed and buried by the wanderer's tread. There's that pronoun it. What's it? Is not this dust, these walls within them hold, these 100 shelves which crammed and chained me, the frippery, the trinkets thousandfold that in this mothy den restrain me? Here shall I find the help that I need? Shall here 1,000 volumes teach me only that men, self-tortured, everywhere must bleed? And here and there one happy man sits lonely? What meanest thou by that grin, that hollow skull? Save thy brain, like mine, a cloudy mirror, sought once the shining day, and then in twilight dull, thirsting for truth, when wretchedly to error? Ye instruments, forsooth, but jeer at me, with wheel and cog and shapes uncouth of wonder. I found the portal, you the keys should be. Your wards are deftly wrought, but drive no bolts asunder, mysterious even in the open day. Nature retains her veil despite our clamors. Beautiful line. That which she, nature, doth not willingly display, cannot be wrenched from her with levers, screws, and hammers. Ye ancient tools who use I never knew. Here, since my father used ye, since he moulderer, thou ancient scroll hast worn thy smoky hue, since at this desk the dim lamp wont to smolder, it were better far had I a little bit idly time spent, than now to sweat beneath its burden. I confess it. What from your father's heritage is lent, earn it anew, to really possess it. What serves not is a sore impediment. The moment's need creates the thing to serve and bless it. Yet wherefore comes my gaze to yonder point so lightly? Is yonder flask a magnet for my eyes? Whence all around me glows the air so brightly, and in woods at night the mellow moonbeam lies? I hail thee, wondrous, rarest vial. I take thee down devoutly for the trial. He's reaching for something in that vial. What is it? Man's art and wit I venerate in thee, thou summary of gentle slumbered juices. Essence of deadly finest powers and uses, unto thy master show thy favor free. I see thee, and the stings of pain diminish. I grasp thee, and my struggles slowly finish. My spirit fled. Let's think what's in the vial. What do you think's in the vial? My struggles slowly finish. My spirit's flood tide ebbeth more and more. Out into the open ocean speeds my dreaming. The glassy flood before my feet is gleaming. A new day beckons to a newer shore. A fiery chariot borne on buoyant pinions sweeps near me now, and I soon shall be ready to pierce the ether's high unknown dominions, to reach new spheres of pure activity, to this godlike rapture, this supreme existence. Do I, but now a worm, deserve the trek? Yes, resolute to reach some brighter distance of earth's fair sun, I turn my back. And yet let Let me dare those gates to fling asunder, which every man would fain go slinking by. It's time, through deeds this word of truth to thunder, that the height of God's man dignity may vie. Nor from that gloomy gulf to shrink affrighted, where fancy doth herself to self-born pangs compel. To struggle towards the past benighted, around whose narrow mouth flame all the fires of hell. To take this step with cheerful resolution, though nothingness should be certain, swift conclusion. And now come down, thou cup of crystal clearest, fresh from thine ancient cover thou appearest. So many years forgotten to my thought, thou soonest in old ancestral banquets cherry, the solemn guests thou madest merry. When one thy wassail, spiced ale, mulled wine, drunken celebration, to others wrought, the rich and skillful figures all thee wrought. The drinker's duty, rhyme-wise to explain them, or in one breath, below the mark to drain them. From many a night of youth my memory caught, now to a neighbor shall I pass thee, never. Nor on thy curious art, to test my wit endeavor. Here is a juice whence sleep is swiftly born. It fills the browner flood, thy liquid's hollow. I choose, prepare it. Thus I follow with all my soul the final drink. I swallow a solemn festal cup, a greeting to the morn. And he sets the goblet to his mouth, and suddenly the chime of bells and chorals sing. You know what he was doing, ladies and gentlemen, right? He was going to drink poison. He's going to drink something and, he's just ready to go. The guy's frustrated. Today we would have him call the suicide hotline, right? Hotline. The bells chime, the chorals sing. Chorus of angels. Christ is risen. Joy to the mortal one, whom the unmerited, clinging, inherited needs did imprison. Faust. What hollow humming? What a sharp, clear stroke drives from my lip. The goblets at their meeting announced the booming bells already woke the first glad hour of Easter's festal greeting. Ye choirs, have you begun the sweet consoling chant, which through the night of death that the angels misstrent, saying God's new covenant, repeating? A misstrent is a person who acts as a servant. A chorus of women. With spices and precious balm we arrayed him. Faithful and gracious we tenderly laid him. Linen to bind him. Who they talking about, right? The crucified Jesus, right? He resurrected on Easter. Cleanly wound we. When we would find him, Christ no more we. Christ is ascended. Chorus of angels now, not women. Christ is ascended. Bliss hath invested him. Woes that molested him, trials that tested him, gloriously ended. Faust. Why here, in the dust, entice me with your spell, ye gentle, powerful sounds of heaven. Peal rather than where tender natures dwell, your messages I hear, but faith has not been given. The dearest child of faith is a miracle, and I venture not to soar to yonder regions whence the glad tidings hither float, and yet from my childhood up, familiar with the note, to life it now renews an old allegiance. Oh, once heavenly love set down a burning kiss upon my brow in Sabbath silence holy, and filled with mystic presage, chimed the church bell slowly. And prayer dissolved me in a fervent bliss. A sweet, uncomprehended yearning drove forth my feet through woods and meadows free. And while 1,000 tears were burning, I felt a world arise for me. These chants to youth and all its sporting appeal proclaim the spring's rejoicing holiday. And memory holds me now with childish feelings, back from the last, the solemn way. Sound on, ye hymns of heaven, so sweet and mild, sound on, my tears gush forth, and the earth takes back her child. Chorus of disciples. Has he victoriously burst from the vaulted grave, and all gloriously now sits exalted? Is he in glow of birth, rapture creative near? Ah, to the woe of earth still are we native here. We, his aspiring followers, him we miss. Him, weeping, desiring, Master, thy bliss. Chorus of angels. Christ is risen, out of corruption's womb. Burst ye the prison, break from your gloom. Praising and pleading him, lovingly needing him, brotherly feeding him, preaching and speeding him, blessing succeeding him. Thus is the Master near. Thus is he here. Whew. Wow. Wow. What do you think? That was Act 1 of Faust by Goethe. Whew. What a translation by Bernard Taylor. Whoa. I hope you enjoyed that. Come on back. And be sure to visit and read other classics on Jimmy when you're on his website. Got a lot of them. Lots of hundreds of hours. But we're coming back to Faust. We're going to go to Act 2 and 3 next. And remember, if you have questions, Jimmy@readingwithjimmy.com. Jimmy@readingwithjimmy.com. As a matter of fact, it's really odd. You know, I don't believe in coincidence. Do you, ladies and gentlemen? I really don't. But today is Easter Saturday, or what they call Holy Saturday, because tomorrow is Easter. This is not a coincidence that Jimmy's reading Faust on Easter. Wow. Thanks for coming.